Mike Vrabel, Liam Cohen, and Ben Johnson all have 10-plus wins in their inaugural season with their new team. You see it right here. Incredible. Jags, Bears, Pats all had 5 or fewer wins last year. Quite a turnaround for these three teams. And it's exactly why it's no surprise that these three guys right there that I just listed are top candidates for Coach of the Year. So, Charles, which one gets your vote?
Man, you know, when I look at these three guys, Mike Vrabel, we've seen him in this capacity before. We've seen him take teams to the playoff. So I kind of feel like we knew he was going to turn it around. Ben Johnson, a couple of years ago, he was the hottest name in the coaching game. So you have a level of confidence that he's going to be able to do his thing. Liam Cohen, coming into the season, Jacksonville Jaguars, like who's excited about Jacksonville? Then the press conference happens. You know, we you know what I'm saying?
Come on, Jules, don't be quiet now. Yeah.
I think
he wants that one
all
back.
heard it, and we thought, oh man, what a disaster. So to come back from that press conference, and then to have a team that nobody had any confidence in coming into this season, I got to go Liam Cohen.
Okay,
you know,
good argument.
I don't want to. I'm not a homer.
Too late.
I'm not a homer.
That means he's going Mike Vrabel.
But it's got to be Vrabel because you look at the teams before this season. Right? You look at the Chicago Bears. They've got, last year they spent a whole bunch of money on skill group. They got a bunch of good skill group, and then they buy the best offensive line you could buy with Tooney, Dahlman, and Jackson. You look at the Jaguars, right? Liam Cohen inherits a quarterback that's on his second contract that has a playoff win. You look at the Patriots preseason, bunch of question marks around all their skill group, a quarterback that had happy feet, and like a defense that they spent money on, but did they know if they could play? So if you look at it before the season, the hardest job was the New England Patriots.
These are good arguments by both guys, but right now, Vrabes is the odds-on favorite.
Oh, Vrabes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Look at Mike
Did you know
McDonald.
that?
I did not.
Well, that's the other thing, too. There's so many coaches. You could argue that Kyle Shanahan, what he's done with all the injuries. We could go on and on. But right now, Jules, aside from the head coach, who else of those three teams, between the Bears, the Jags, and the Patriots, other than the head coach, who should get credit?
You know, I think this is a quarterback league, so you got to tip your cap to Drake May. He's been playing unbelievable, but I think because of Josh McDaniels, play caller quarterback relationship has a lot to do with how quarterbacks play. And if you watch Drake May play, half the time it looks like it's boring, easy work for him. And that's because the play caller is confident in his ability on how to protect the quarterback. They both are talking the same language. So I think Josh McDaniels has a huge reason.
It is a huge reason why they're doing so well. Charles?
For me, what was the question?
Who, other than the head coach, should get credit for the organizational turnaround?
I agree with him that, that quarterback to coach relationship is very important. But for the Jacksonville Jaguars, I'm looking at the defensive side of the ball.
Okay.
I mean, this team is all season long been able to keep them in tough games. But rush defense, they're first, 86 yards a game they're holding opponents to. And then I think whenever they need a play, seems like in week 5, Kansas City, huge pick to the house, a house call. This is the type of plays that they're making all year long to keep this team rolling. So I like for that side of the ball, not one particular person, but as a group, that defense for Jacksonville.
Jules, of those three teams, again, Bears, Jags, Pats, which team is built for the longest postseason run?
You know, I think they all can maybe squeak off a win, but if you look at the Jacksonville Jaguars, because of that defense, first in rush defense, second in takeaways, top 10 in scoring, I think they're going to have a really big chance of winning their opener if they get to host a game. And then also, we've never seen Trevor Lawrence play this well.
Yeah.
So you got to tip your cap to Cohen for how that relationship
He hasn't turned the ball over. 3 straight games without a turnover. For you, which of those three teams makes a run?
I'm looking at that game last night, the Chicago Bears, and the way they play, the resilience that they're playing with. But you know what they're able to do? They're running the football really well.
Yeah.
And so I think going into the playoffs, when you got to play in some of those cold weather games, when, you got to, what I talked about earlier, Ben Johnson, sometimes 4th and 1, just run the ball, don't do all the tricky stuff. So I think with Caleb Williams, the way he's playing, the confidence that he's playing with, the throws that he makes under pressure.
That last one, that game winner,
Unreal.
I mean.
You remember 2 weeks ago, he left the one short in the red zone? This one last night, he didn't leave that one short.
And it was a windy
That was a
day.
perfect ball. Yeah, on a rope.
Well, it's fun to watch, especially for the fan bases of those three teams, to see the turnaround. Broncos, Jags, At Mile High, Broncos play so well at home. Charles, who do you like in this one and why?
Man, I think I like the Broncos at home, and mainly because of Bo Nix. You know, you look at what he does late in games. You know, in the second half of games this season, he's rushing for almost 100 more yards in the second half than he does in the first half. What that tells me is that when the game's on the line, when it's do or die, this guy is coming to play, and he's got 2 linemen on his team that haven't given up a sack all season long. So they're protecting him late in games, giving him a chance. 4th and 5, need a ball downfield, clean pocket. I like the Broncos at home.
You know what we talked about last year with Kansas City winning all those one-score games? Denver, you guys, has 11 wins this season when trailing or tied, the most in a season in NFL history. They find ways to win.
It's crazy. And I like Denver, too, because of the defense. Look, the Jags haven't played a defense like this since Houston, and they got whooped. They only had 213 yards of total offense when they played that defense. Now, this Broncos defense last week didn't get a sack in that first half against the Packers, right? But then it's kind of like water with like a retaining wall or like a dam. I went on a huge algorithm where I was seeing dams break and stuff, and it's because of water. If the water seeps in that dam, it could blow that dam up, right?
It's over. It's
and
a wrap.
that's what that collapsing defensive
Time
line
and pressure.
like. Time and pressure. If you watch that Packers game, Benito and Cooper met in the lap of the quarterback and sacked him while, Allen came off and got the sack. And I think that's huge. And then also, Bo Nix had a big boy game last week.
Yep.
Yeah,
He was pushing that ball downfield. He had some really good throws that, we were so used to seeing him dink and dunk, but he hit those seams, hit those deep corners, and he had 4 touchdown passes to 4 different receivers. They're continuing to get better, him and Sean Payton, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point about the sacks, 58 sacks. That's 10 more than the next closest team.
Yeah.
Could be a long day for
Like
Trevor
water.
Lawrence. Right. Pressure bust
Be
pipes,
water, my
right?
friend.
And another one.